It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we'll become better at writing songs. Dialing in from our headquarters in Toronto, I'm Neil Modi, and with me my co-host, Phil Emery. How you doing, Phil?
I'm cold, very, very, very cold, Neil, and which is why I was pressing the wrong buttons before the show started because I'm so cold. But it feels like minus 24 here, so it is really, really cold.
We're supposed to be getting freezing rain like any minute now in Toronto, so a little bit milder.
Yes, enough of this. Yeah. Make this winter stop now.
Oh God, tell me. All right, yeah. Well, although you guys got it much worse than we do over here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and for everyone else, please send in your comments and questions to at Song Talk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode, find links to resources we mention, and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. Tonight, we're very pleased to welcome hobby musician Max Tojicic to the show. How are you doing, Max?
Doing great. How are you? Great
to have you on the show. Hey, pretty good. And before we get to Max's stuff, just a small announcement that I saw on the social medias. Or I guess we haven't had on the show for a long while, but very talented musician Jacob Moon out of Hamilton is currently running live looping workshops at Long and McQuaid stores
cool.
in Ontario. So we'll put a link to that in the show post. If you're into live looping or interested in learning about live looping, attend one of his free workshops. He is absolutely brilliant at live looping. The man's a genius.
He's been doing it for so long, too.
He's been doing it for so long. I mean, that's how I first discovered him, was him doing a live looping cover of Rush's Subdivisions on a rooftop in Hamilton, which is brilliant.
Yeah, because he's been doing it longer than we've been on the air.
Probably, yeah, for sure, yeah, and he's really good at it. And we actually did an episode with him over the pandemic about where he went into live looping.
That's right.
See if we can dig that up and link that on the show post as well, so you can check that out and then check out one of his workshops. I know Long McQuaid in Toronto, and I think a few others around Southern Ontario. He's doing some free workshops. So definitely.
And for all you non-Canadians out there. Long McQuaid is a national chain of music stores across Canada. And apparently I've heard that they are the second largest credit company next to Ford Canada in the country.
Right. If you're not buying cars, you're buying guitars.
That's true. Well, I mean, there you go. It's almost like you're a songwriter. It's But I have to admit, they let me buy stuff on credit when I was 15, and I without a parent. So,
really,
yeah,
wow.
I don't know if they do that now. But
they're lending, aren't they? Jeez.
But thank God, I don't want to know how much money I've spent at Long McQuaid. I'm sure it's 100,000 by this point. I'm sure.
Oh, really? That much? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, since
quite
15,
there,
and
yeah,
yeah. It's amazing how much. Anyways, all
right. Okay, on to the main event. Max Tojicic is a hobbyist musician who draws inspiration from a variety of sources, including show tunes, jazz, pop rock, and indie music. Having worked for several years with some of Toronto's greatest a cappella talent, Max has a familiarity with harmonization and enjoys finding the right chords to fit the timbre of music that he's writing. Largely writing ballads and jazzy tunes, Max's original work draws inspiration from his own experiences of heartbreak, self-doubt, and learning how to move forward. You can often find Max playing his originals or jamming with friends at the Function Bar at Yonge and Eglinton in Toronto. Indeed, that's where we met, right, Max? We jammed a few times on the stage at Function Bar, which is an awesome open mic for open jamming, and just like, I like to show up there, nothing in hand but my drumsticks. And even then I don't need those because the stage has them. just backing up other musicians. It's great fun. And of course, Max, you've taken, you often when you're on stage, you're often taking the lead on the piano and singing and directing all the other musicians what to do.
I do.
To see.
It comes with the experience, right? Like, get enough people there, people wanting to like learn how to jam and have fun and For a lot of people, it's their first time. A lot of people think it's a karaoke bar.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I suppose, yeah, you got a backup band in some ways. Maybe it is, but if you're saying,
in a manner of speaking, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an awesome, great time. Definitely recommend folks check out the open mics. They happen on Tuesday nights and Sunday nights, and it's literally just up the corner from Yonge and Eglinton subway station. And the new LRT. If you're east or west on Eglinton, you can catch the LRT. It's right there.
Line 5.
Very cool. Okay, tonight we're going to be... What's that?
I was saying, but if you're not in Canada, then you'd have to really plan on making it to Eglinton. But, if you have to be in Toronto, it's a good place to be.
You could do worse.
Yep.
All right. And if you're not in Toronto, then by all means, there are open mics in your neighborhood, I'm sure, in your cities. In your
Absolutely.
towns, and if there isn't, then start one.
That is true. Someone's got it.
There are people out there. Okay. Tonight we're going to be talking to Max about his song Lavender Bouquet. Be sure to download the lyric sheet on the show post at songtalk.ca so you can follow along. Let's hit it, Phil.
To see what you see, to know what you know, would have made my objective so much clearer. To feel what you feel, to know what was real, I might have made your heart beat faster. Up on the rooftop, underneath the autumn night sky, how I wished you could feel what I wanted to convey. In the dark, we could only see half the colors in this lavender bouquet. A teller of tales, a protagonist fails. The anxious heart as much to reveal an apprehensive soul, explanations untold. The cautious mind is far too concealing. Up on the rooftop, underneath the autumn night sky, I couldn't bear to listen to what you had to say. In the dark, we could only see half the colors in this lavender bouquet. Up on the rooftop, underneath the autumn night sky, I could only envision half the array. In the dark, we could only see half the colors in this lavender bouquet. This lavender bouquet. This lavender bouquet. Lavender bouquet.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Lots of sevens.
Yeah. Lots
Full of sevens, baby.
Yeah. The tonality is really, really interesting. I swear I heard maybe a suspended in there somewhere, and yeah, lots of
Yep.
sevens, nines.
Suspended in the
Interesting.
chorus. which is nice because you've got a very A minor, B minor 7, A minor 7, and that going to a G major 7 on the last line is very tasty. It just kind of gives it that bit of a sweetness. And then going into using suspended chords for your chorus really is a wonderful way of giving yourself contrast instead of just going to a 5 or doing the things that people often do. It's a nice approach.
Thank you. So for that chorus, I actually took a lot of inspiration from Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka. So it's in the same key. It's in D major. So it starts with that D sus4 and then has the D sus4 with the 7 on top. So then I just continued it into this major walk down where it goes to the flat 7 and into the 6. And then that kind of complements the minor walk down that comes after that major 3, that F sharp 7, going into the B minor with the 7, the B minor, like the B minor 7, and the B minor 6.
Yeah. Wow. I love 7 and going from 7 to 6s. It is just, well, I mean, a lot of guys, if they're vamping, they'll just do that. They'll go through between the 7 and the 6 because it's a good way of giving something a movement without sort of pulling a melody too far out. But it's so many tasty little jazz treats here.
Oh, for sure. And then the whole walk down thing. I mean, dare I generalize and say it's more prevalent with piano players than with guitarists? Maybe it's just easier to do on a piano.
100%.
Not very so natural on a guitar, but I've heard guitarists do it too, and it's pretty tasty there too, of course, right?
Interesting approach with the lyrics as well, because they're not standard pop lyrics. They're a little bit Sondheimian, I think. Just in the sort of the approach and the way some of the lines which I thought was kind of neat. When you hear a lot of music, so much of it tends to be of a style, and I guess that's always been the way since the 80s. There was a style when everyone talked like this, everyone sang like this. The David Sylvain, Brian Ferry thing, which I love. But it's nice to hear a bit of variety in that approach. So. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do find it interesting the way that there's, again, I seem to be bringing this up a lot in the last few episodes. There's a lot of words in the chorus, right? The chorus has got its own sort of story to it, and a lot of imagery and description and very short phrases. Which is an interesting approach. It's almost like a sort of abstract painting in some ways when you look at the lyrics. But I'm curious for you, Max. What came first? Was it the chord sequences or the lyrics, or how did this song evolve?
So I'm always looking for different chords to fit something, and I actually wrote the chords before the events of the song, which I'm describing in the chorus. Interestingly enough. So the minor 6 to minor 5 thing that I did at the beginning, I really wanted to play around with the minor 5 because, funnily enough, so the 2 places that I've heard it used, one in the Bob's Burgers movie, there's a song called Lucky Ducks. Yeah. And it's about like all of these gruff workers for sort of like the rich tycoon of like this like, seaside town, like talking about how unfortunate their own situations are and being really down, like complaining that they are down on their luck. And I think what I found really interesting about that is I'm a sucker for a minor 4. I love like just sort of like sitting and like wallowing in that like grief. But I think with this song, with this melody, or like with this structure rather in the verse, I wanted to have something that was a little bit more melancholy in like the middle of a phrase. So it's kind of like breathing. And that also falls into the a lot of space, especially in the verses. I have a terribly bad habit of just shocking every single section of my song with just these really dense lyrics. So I really wanted to let this breathe. And so the minor 5 that's in this Bob's Burgers musical number is in the second part of this 4-chord phrase that's repeated, and it's a lot more lively, but like it gives you like this melancholy theming that goes with, you know, how like sad these folks are. And then continuing with the sad theme, there's this great I don't know if you're familiar with the video game Undertale, but the entire game was made in 2015. It was a big like indie phenomenon. Everybody was obsessed with it. And the guy who created the game composed all of his own music and used a ton of leitmotifs throughout everything. There were maybe like 107 tracks. So he like really got to like get to like create these like themes and these really memorable leitmotifs that you could hear through everything. And for one of the most depressing characters, he had this song for this scene where the main character and him are just sitting in this little cafe, and it's called It's Raining Somewhere Else. And that goes, I think it's C minor 7, G minor 7, B flat minor 7, F minor 7.
Ooh,
so
okay.
We're thinking a semitone up. So I'm in B minor with Lavender Bouquet there and C minor here. But that B minor to A minor, that's the same thing as the first and the third chord in that phrase of It's Raining Somewhere Else. But like it fits in like the same timing. I just realized this like an hour ago before we got on to talk. But yeah, so that was like, that must have been like ringing in the back of my head somewhere as I was like trying to create this like more like open, letting yourself breathe, melancholic, but still kind of moving forward. And I think that's at least musically where that came from.
Yeah. So you sounds like you're really looking towards those tonalities, those, because essentially they're note choices, right? I mean, they're chord choices, but they're also note choices, leading tones, and those sorts of things that happen. You looking to that for the emotional content of the song, or you more so than you're leaning on lyric then? Yes?
So fair? I think I find these chords that I want to play. I find this like melody, something that's different, something that's interesting, drawing from like kind of these weird places. And then once I have that, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do with this? And then that's where the lyrics come in. So I bring in the lyrics and I'm like, okay, this song kind of fits this more like melancholic thing. How do the lyrics fit in? But then like really like the meat of the song, I think, comes from like the theming, like in the lyrics. It comes from like, it almost takes like its full shape only after those lyrics come in, because that's where like the story is. And I kind of have to get lucky where like I fit like a story that fits the melody. And sometimes it takes a while. Like it took me like a few weeks for like in between like the chord writing and the lyric writing. But that was my process, at least for this one.
The chorus. So I guess the idea is this is sort of a relationship story and it's not going well?
Yeah, so it was more of like an unrequited love situation. I was working with somebody. I was actually playing a gig at the Rivoli, and I was with a few bandmates, and there was like one of the people who I was working with I was quite interested in at the time. And what ended up happening is I literally bought a bouquet of flowers that matched the color of the dress that she happened to be wearing. And I was like trying to find a right time. And I was like talking to the organizer, being like, you know, is there like a private room that maybe we could go into? And then he didn't really have like any idea for me. And then he was like, what if you went on the roof? And I was like, oh,
that's nice.
So that chorus description is about as literal as you can get.
Yeah. Okay.
But then the reason why so then the reason why I stuck with the lavender idea was because I was having brunch. So the actual bouquet of flowers was closer to like a purple and pink. So it was like these two colors, which is where
the song's alive. And
yes. However, there's good reason for it. So the pink and the purple, it's like there are like two halves to like this, like which is why I really liked the idea of half the colors in this lavender bouquet. That's where that came from. And I was talking with some friends, and one was telling me about how someone who she was close with was gay and getting married to someone in a heterosexual marriage for the purpose of like family like imagery and like retaining like visas and like things like that. And that like the term for that is a lavender wedding, and it is described in like the connotation of that is that it's like a facade essentially. Like it's like when we think of weddings and marriage, we think of love and forming these relationships, but this is all like completely practical. So from my perspective, when I was thinking about the feelings that I had for this person, it was very oh my god, I'm forgetting the word, but it's to describe when like it's especially described a lot in the 21st century with a lot of folks like having these intense romantic feelings but not necessarily expressing any like physicality because there's all this anticipation and waiting for it. So it's the whole theming of the verses going into the chorus is about only having like half the information, only being able to come from my own perspective and really just like guessing, like I'm friendly with this person, we get along in like the context of making music together, but could something more actually happen? Like I'm really only viewing this from one side of like a two-sided relationship. So that's sort of where the like the theme of the song sort of comes to a head in the chorus, and then using the bouquet as a symbol of that.
Cool. It's really not a symbol I've come across before.
Yeah. I haven't heard that before. I mean, yeah, I hear lavender and I think, soap or those sorts of things. It's to me, it's a very neutral word. It doesn't have that much sort of baggage to it. But yeah, in a certain context, that's true. So yeah, so that's interesting that you find these sort of tones, and then you think, what kind of personal experience are you going through right now that sort of reflects that? So what happens if do you ever write a 1-4-5 minor 6 sort of thing and then write a song based on that tonality?
I almost never. I try really hard not to, and I think that's a problem more than like something to be proud of. No, because it's good to be able to just like. I am honestly always impressed by people who can write simple, catchy songs. Like some of like the pop indie stuff that I like. There's this great band Inoha, and I've used their songs for a ton of function jams. And a lot of the stuff that they write is like it's really straightforward, but like they do a lot of really interesting stuff with the instrumentation. Now, while I did do like a little bit of piano soloing on Lavender Bouquet, like I am not a fantastic improvist. I'm not like a fantastic piano player, like in terms of like choppy stuff. And a lot of folks really get the complexity from their music out of taking these simple chords, but then doing more than arpeggiating, like introducing like these counter melodies, introducing these complex layering of instruments, maybe like cutting out a note in a chord to have like these more power chord things, or just like these first and third harmonies. And that like gives it this depth with this like, with more instrumentation. But especially when I'm working just with a piano with my own just limited technical skill, the depth and what makes my music interesting has to come from elsewhere. So it's for me, it's more of like a means to an end in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, I think we all have those things that we go to. That's just our tendencies. Some people are jazzy, some people are country and western, some people are traditional, and others. I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland, and there's lots of people here who use very traditional kind of sea shanty approaches to melody and structure, and that's just what they naturally do. There's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's good to force yourself to do something that you don't, which is why we do our songwriting challenges, to force you to not do those things that you always do, to not always go to the to the 7 and the 6 just because that's always what you do. But I thought it was a really great song.
Yeah. I engaged in a songwriting challenge with the At Home Songwriting Group a couple of years ago, and run by Chad Shank out of Minnesota. And there was one. I did a number of their challenges over a couple of years, but one of them there was one condition of the challenge where you had to incorporate a 1-6-4-5 chord progression somewhere in your song, right? And it was really interesting to see how people introduce complexities in other places within that one. I mean, the song that I wrote for that challenge, there was 7s and 9s and things everywhere else, but then there's just that one part of the pre-chorus or whatever was the 1-6-4-5, just in one little 2-measure thing, and then it went off again, right? So it's kind of fun to introduce both. But yeah, I do find it more recently that I've been writing songs that kind of speak one of 2 or 3 different sort of tonal languages. Like either it's a straightforward major minor thing, or it's got 7s and 9s and stuff. Maybe it's just 2 things. But I was working on a song this past week, and I had my bandmate come in and do some lead guitar on it, and I said to him, like you can see on the sheet that I gave you, the chord structure is just A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor. It's just 2-chord sequence in the verses. But in the piano playing, I'm introducing the 9, I'm introducing the 7 in the sort of small melody. So I want to introduce those tension notes in order to give this even a little bit more tension. So you can always lead with those, or lean on those sort of tonalities to give your whole song some shape and some color. That way, but I've written songs too where it's just, no, I just want to stick to the 1-3-5 sort of things in the melodies, and that's where it wants to be, because maybe it just wants to be a simpler kind of thing, right? So yeah.
Would you be recording this song, do you think, more formally, or?
That's always a tough question. I wrote hobbyist musician to describe myself, because I have been surrounded by like people who have dedicated their lives to music. Like my sister did piano school in university. She's like competed at like the highest level of a cappella competition. She went to the finals in New York. My dad spent like, years and years touring and like trying to like make it as a musician. He had like the same manager as the Tragically Hip for a good amount of time. And at like, just in my own personal experience, I've generally just enjoyed thinking of music as something that I do for fun, as kind of on the side. But like, I think I would need to find the right piece of music, or like the right group of people. Like I think something like Lavender Bouquet that like kind of fits this piano lounge vibe. Like it would be great if I were to have like a close musical relationship with like a great like saxophonist, for example, or somebody who's a bit of a stronger piano player than I am. And like maybe like a drummer, and like getting like kind of like a 3-4 piece band thing. That would be the context if I were to choose to record that. But I think I've just had other priorities at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the sort of thing, like you'd want to take it maybe to a live scenario first and get the sort of energy of the arrangement sorted out before you sit down and record it, like experiment with different instrumentations, different approaches. Because I could almost see this thing, yeah, like you said, like a piano lounge thing, like brushes on a snare and an upright bass, and sort of where the tempo actually fluctuates a little bit, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I also think I would like to have a group of songs that kind of fit a similar genre. Like, don't get me wrong, I like writing things that are kind of all over the place. But I think if I were to try to record something, I would probably want to do it as part of an EP or an album. And I think that would involve just like sitting down and writing more music that's like in the same timbre. And I'm a very like write based on experience person, which is kind of counterintuitive to that goal.
Yeah. Well, that's they always say that's the thing about professionals. Professionals can deliver the goods even when life is going well, and when they don't have any experience to draw on. But yeah, definitely a great song.
It's amazing what happens with some of the bands you even know. Like that they have backgrounds in jazz or something, but they're a rock band, or they have backgrounds in different areas, and they're perfectly capable of doing the other things, but they keep it consistent for presumably commercial reasons, because their fans have a certain expectation. if they're with a label, they have certain expectations, and you kind of have to prop that up and everything else. Got to think about how to evolve and how to change things enough without it sounding like a whole different,
Yeah.
whole different recipe. It's
True.
yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, I totally understand what you mean. As an amateur, you're not beholden to anybody necessarily, so you can do whatever you want. No one's gonna care.
Yeah, why not?
You're just there to satisfy yourself, so you can do some thrash metal on one day if you feel like it.
Who knows? Maybe that style is calling for you.
Maybe.
Exactly. You never know. Okie dokie. I'm here in the band. I think that's all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Max Tojicic. Where can our listeners find out more about you and hear some more of your music? You have a place online?
I have very limited places to look. You can follow me at Max_generic_username on Instagram, and I will keep
Username
folks.
is part of the username?
Yes.
I like that.
So you can find me there, and a lot of that stuff's music stuff, but it's also just like a lot of personal stuff. And hopefully YouTube, Spotify, all the rest of it will come soon as I evolve more in my own music career and spend a little bit more time dedicated to that.
Right on. Okay, we'll be sure to link to your Instagram there on our show post for this episode. And we want to hear from you too, so please send your comments on Facebook or Instagram at Song Talk Radio and send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. And subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. And please support us at our Patreon page. You can visit songtalk.ca/support. Thank you to everyone who has supported us so far. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. Whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups, it's free to join on Eventbrite and free to attend. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil.
Delivery.ca.
And Max, what's your Instagram handle again?
At Max_generic_username.
Gotcha. All right. Be sure to follow Max there. And be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, and keep on writing. Okay.
Cool. That's a great song.
Yeah. Very nice.
I have a suggestion though, if you are open to it.
Absolutely.
We often do the meetup and people bring in songs. Because up on the rooftop, it really feels like you have I couldn't bear to listen to what you had to say, which means that there's like this sort of there's a separation between these two people, right? It's someone saying something, you don't want to hear it. And your last two lines you have, in the dark, we could only see half the colors in this lavender bouquet. Mm-hmm. If you change that, in the dark, I could only see half the colors in your lavender bouquet, really shows the separation between these two people, how they are actually just not doing it. And when you're like, we've all been in that situation, and it's so I don't know, you're not helpless, but it's so unavoidable. But it's just two people just they're not hooking up, and it's a way of kind of reinforcing that image.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good idea to kind of go through your song and and look at the prepositions, or look at the nouns of the pronouns and things, right? And yeah, this as opposed to yours or mine, or I and you as opposed to thee, or that sort of
And
thing.
you could get
indefinite versus definite pronouns, I guess, is what they.
You could also get rid of a lot of your stop words. Stop words are like a and the. You have teller of tales, professional fails, anxious heart is, much or just too revealing, or, that sometimes that can sort of tighten what lines up if you want.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty good specifically in the verses just because they're like pretty tightly written as they are. I do generally like to take that advice though, especially when I have like wordier stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, I think you should record it.
Yeah, no, I think that would be fun. I'd have to like get some people together for it, as I said before, but I could definitely see myself doing it.
And maybe your dad could help. Probably knows lots of people.
Yeah, no, for sure. He has a whole studio downstairs. He's done some mastering work before.
Oh, cool. What's his name?
Mark Tojicic. His stage name is Mark Rip.
Mark Rip.
Back in the day, he used to be in a band called the Bell Vistas, and he was kind of like the rival band to Blue Rodeo, and like Blue Rodeo was the one that kind of made it big.
Yeah.
But I think they or my dad's band opened for them like a couple of times. They were in like the same circles back in those days.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Toronto is so weird because it goes through these things where there's like a real intense scene. Like there's a big rockabilly scene for a while. And I had a friend who was a sax player and came back from the States, and he just thought it was so weird because I don't know, I can't remember what was big in Colorado, but there was he said in Colorado there's like one rockabilly band, and everyone thought they were just kind of really weird. But in Toronto, it was just like wall-to-wall rockabilly bands. It's really weird. But I remember that, like the Blue Rodeo, there would be I think they were every Saturday at the Cabana Room, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. Ask your dad about the Cabana Room. I'm sure he'll remember it.
I'm sure if I asked him, he would know.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
That's wild, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It takes about a week or so to get the podcast out, maybe 5 days, and then we'll give you a heads up when it does. You can share it with your peoples.
Amazing, yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, I'd be happy to promote it on the Insta, and
yeah, for sure.
It'd be great.
Really looking forward to seeing how it comes out.
Yeah, awesome. And hopefully we get to see you at the next meetup.
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be great. All right.
At the function bar.
Yeah, we'll send you an email when the show is published.
Perfect.
Great. Thanks so much, man.
All right.
Thanks
for being on.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.